Cole scratching.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Take Two podcast. We are your Frame brothers. I am Jameson Frame, accompanied by my brother Reed Frame, talking all things NFL per usual. Before we get started, Reed, congratulations last week on Friday night win. That was a good
Thank
one.
you.
Fun to
Thank
watch.
you. Yeah,
Got another big one coming up this week. You guys ready to roll there?
we're ready to roll. We're ready to roll. We're having fun out there. I think that's the most important part, but I think we've got a good team this year. We're excited.
Fantastic. Excited to watch it. So good luck to you guys.
I'm excited to play.
Jumping back into the NFL, today is the trade deadline. Took place 3 p.m. today. Not a whole lot of names getting moved around. Less than I thought. I thought there'd be a little more action going on. Some of the bad teams kind of shipping out their good player, not good players, their older players or people in the last years that their deals, trying to kind of rebuild for next year, or good teams trying to make a final push by grabbing that one piece that they thought could kind of push them over the edge. Not as many as I thought, like I just said. I'll read off kind of the I'll read off all of them for you, and for anybody who didn't catch them all. So we had Khalil Herbert getting shipped from the Bears to the Bengals for a seventh round draft pick. I think that is a good pickup in totality. So I guess we'll run through them. We can break them down after that. So you got the Browns shipped Zadarius Smith to the Lions. You had the Panthers shipping Jonathan Mingo to the Cowboys. You had the Saints shipping Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders. Tre'Davious White from the Rams to the Ravens. Preston Smith from the Packers to the Steelers. Khalil Davis from the Texans to the 49ers. Mike Williams from the Jets to the Steelers. And Baron, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's first name. Baron Browning from the Broncos to the Cardinals. Not a lot of big names that got moved. Not a lot of big pieces that really solidify any teams, in my opinion. I guess which one of those guys do you think is like the best move for those teams out of those that list?
The best move or the most impactful move?
Um, Give me both. What do you? I guess.
I think the best move is Zadarius Smith to the Lions. After losing Aiden Hutchinson, I think you need an edge rusher to help you out there, and I think Zadarius Smith fills that hole for you, and I think it's a great pickup, and that's why I think it's the best move for that team. But I think the most impactful is going to be Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders. I think that pass defense has been kind of iffy. They don't really have a stud DB, and I think Marshawn Lattimore adds a bit of like experience and veteranacy. Words are hard. I have like a C in English. Whatever. Um, he adds a good experience to that DB room, much needed.
Yeah, I was gonna say my favorite move was Marshawn Lattimore, a team that I've been high on, and I feel like everybody else is kind of jumping on the bandwagon as the Commanders right now. They're a hot team. They're playing well. The one thing that they were struggling with was their defensive backs. That room was not great. The teams are putting up a lot of points on them. Less as of recently as than earlier on in the season. Teams are kind of rolling them early on in the season. They've kind of like figured it out. As Dan Quinn, you kind of expect him to as a defensive minded coach. He's going to figure out what's going wrong and fix it. So I think this does nothing but help the Commanders on that front. Zadarius Smith, I kind of sneakily forgot that the Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson and needed a kind of a veteran pass rush to kind of help them make the push for this year, as they are definitely the front runners for the Super Bowl, in my opinion. They look
Team to beat.
fantastic.
Team to beat.
Yeah, they look great. So I think Zadarius Smith, I think that is a great move for them. Um, they only ended up having to give a fifth round, I guess a fifth and a sixth, a fifth this coming season and a sixth in 2026. And they got Zadarius Smith and a 2026 seventh in return.
That's a steal, in my opinion.
It's not bad. I know Smith's contract isn't great. I'd have to dive into the numbers. I don't have that in front of me currently. So they're eating a little bit of cap room, but I think it's only a year left on the deal, maybe two. Either way, either way, he can be a rotational piece for him come next year if he's still on the team. So I think that
100% agree. I think it's a great move.
I think it's a really good move. I think it only kind of makes them scarier. I'm sure he's going to love to be there. And know Dan Campbell's happy to have him, happy to get a pass rush back. So definitely the best move there. Is there one move you're kind of like, why? Why did they make the move? Or
Run through the people that we haven't talked about yet because like they're out now. I
yeah,
kind of forgot.
Khalil Herbert, Jonathan Mingo, Tre'Davious White, Preston Smith, Khalil Davis, Mike Williams, Baron Browning.
Who's after Preston Smith?
Khalil Davis, he's a defensive tackle.
And then after Davis,
Mike Williams
that's it.
and Baron Browning.
Browning. Well, I mean, the obvious answer is Barring Browning because I've never heard of him.
Yeah, I think it was that wasn't much. Let's see if I can find it. Essentially, they gave up basically nothing for him.
I would hope so.
It was Cardinals get Baron Browning, Denver gets a sixth round pick. Baron Browning's on the last year of his rookie deal.
What position does he play?
Outside linebacker, pass rusher.
No clue who this guy is. No clue.
Yeah. So I mean, not great. My biggest one was Jonathan Mingo. Not so much for the player, for how much they ended up giving up for.
What'd they give up?
So the Cowboys got Jonathan Mingo and a seventh, and they
Okay.
gave up a fourth.
Ooh.
I
What pick was Jonathan Mingo? Was Jonathan Mingo a fifth round pick?
He was a 39th overall, so he's a second round pick.
Oh, really?
2 years ago, he's only been in the league for 2 years. His career stats are 55 catches for 539 yards, zero touchdowns in 2 years.
Hang on, you got me doubting myself right now. I believe
Well,
he was a second round pick. He went to Ole Miss, correct?
yeah, he was the 39th overall pick in the 2022 draft. I have it up right here.
He went to Ole Miss though.
Yeah.
All right, just making sure I was right on my colleges. Yeah, out of college, I like Jonathan Mingo, and I still am here cheering for him. I like those big receivers that like just physical you. That's why DK Metcalf is my favorite receiver. Probably the biggest and like most physical wide receiver out that you can get. So I love those big physical jump ball type guys. Again, T Higgins, another one of my favorite wide receivers. Just I like jump ball receivers. I don't speed's great. If they can do contested catches, they'll have my heart, right? Loved Jonathan Mingo out of college. I just loved his like prototype, you could say. He just really hasn't amounted to anything. He has been on the Panthers, right? That's the only excuse I got for him. He was on the Panthers, and the Panthers suck. So I'm hoping maybe Cooper Rush can throw him a few jump balls, and he can come down with him and prove everyone that he's a dog.
Cooper Rush. It was a 2023 draft, not the 2022. Sorry, I had my ears mixed up there. Um, I don't like that trade at all. Again, not because of the player. I'm not either here nor there on Mingo. I'm not a big fan of him, but I also am not a true hater. I'm starting to lose interest in him just because he has been super unproductive for the Panthers. But like you said, he's been on a bad team, hasn't got the opportunities. Uh, but they gave up a fourth round pick for a guy on a team that has no really good starting quarterback. They're not making a final push for the playoffs this year. Why not just keep the fourth round pick, go into the offseason and make a trade for like a better person or draft a receiver? I guess do you not think you can get a better receiver than Mingo in the fourth round and get another 2 years on a rookie deal? I don't know. It just doesn't make a little less sense to me.
I would agree. I mean, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, I'm more hopeful for Jonathan Mingo than you are. So I want to see what he can do this year before I'm making like a big decision. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I guess Jerry Jones might have this big plan for him that they think they can turn him around, or maybe Mike McCarthy's big on him. But I know Jerry Judy or Jerry Jones. Why do I always say Jerry Judy? Jerry Jones.
They're close names. Jerry Jones, Jerry Judy, they're close.
Um, but Jerry Jones has never really talked to the head coaches before making any moves. There was that report last year that uh, Jerry Jones traded for Trey Lance without even talking to Mike McCarthy first. So Mike McCarthy was just like, "Hey, I have Trey Lance now, and no need for him, no want for him. Just Jerry's out here just doing whatever he wants.
Just saying, they sure wish they had Trey Lance now, don't they?
Don't they have Trey Lance?
Do they? I thought he was on a different team.
I have no idea.
I'd rather
I
have Trey Lance than Cooper Rush.
I
Just
thought he
saying.
was still on the Cowboys, just not doing anything. You got that one?
I got it. He is on the Dallas Cowboys.
This is a third string. Got beat out by Cooper Rush. Good old Trey Lance.
I'm taking Trey Lance over Cooper Rush.
I guess not.
What? What'd they trade? It was like a fourth round pick. I think it was a fourth round pick.
Last year for Trey Lance, they
Fourth
gave
round pick
up,
last,
they gave up a lot. It's gonna be like the same trade they're making right now.
and he doesn't even start as your backup quarterback.
I don't know what Jerry Jones is doing. What's his game plan?
This is the problem
What's he
with
building in there?
this is the problem with owners being GMs.
Yeah,
Owners should not be GMs. You should
yeah.
not run your team. You own the team. If you want to be a GM, then you should be a GM, not an owner. That's my opinion.
You hire the football people to do the football things. Every organization in the NFL that has a meddling owner is not doing well right now. You know the teams that are doing really well? Owners that are letting their people do what they hire them to do, aka the Chiefs. The Hunt family stays out of it. They stay out of the way. They say, "Let me know how I can help you, but you don't go do your thing. What we're paying you millions of dollars to do. We trust you 100%."
Versus getting paid that much.
Lions, same deal. But no, you got the Carolina Panthers who wouldn't let their head coach draft CJ Stroud because apparently Frank Reich really liked CJ Stroud and wanted to take CJ Stroud, but the owner came in and said, "Nope, we're taking Bryce Young." And
That
then fires the head coach that didn't even want the quarterback and was right on the quarterback. But no, it's his fault that he can't make the owner's quarterback that he wanted work.
it let the people you're paying millions of dollars a year make the decision.
Or
Why
just don't
pay
pay
them?
him. Or you do it all yourself then.
Yeah, or don't pay them.
I guess it would be hard. Me being I'm sure they're football fans like the rest of us, right?
Oh, for sure,
And when you
for
own
sure.
when you own a football team, you want to have the
I
fun of
say,
being like, oh, I helped build this thing, right? Like I liked football. I like my ideas. I can probably help and make this work. But you can't.
there,
You can't.
there's a reason you're an owner and you didn't get a career in being a GM, right?
Yeah, but in there, if they were ahead, they could have been Reed. It's probably what they like
Maybe
to think.
not.
Probably what they like to
Well,
think. They're just like, oh well, if I
let
wouldn't have done this, my career that I did, I could have made it as a GM.
I want to look at it like, hey, we're never owning a team, right? We don't have the money for that. At least I don't. I don't know your financial situation there, right?
I got a
As
lot
a
of money underneath the mattress. I don't have to tell you.
okay, we got Walter White over here. Don't know where he got that from. Jeepers.
Don't worry
I
about
am
it.
the one who knocks. Sorry, that was kind of weird. But first off, they need this an insane amount of money. Whether they inherit that or they were a huge businessman, right? They need to get money. And I'm just saying, you're not going to get enough money from being a GM to own your own team. Therefore, they cannot be a GM. They're not trained to be a GM. So stop being a GM for the team you bought. That's my take.
Jerry Jones, or yeah, I did get it right that time. Wow. Jerry Jones is living in the past though, because when he bought the Cowboys and then he put those teams together that won a couple Super Bowls with Jimmy Johnson, like that's what he like thrives on and like lives on. I feel like he's living in that those seasons. Like, oh, I did it once, therefore I can do it again.
I agree. I think that's you could find that in a lot of like areas, like people living off past successes. Hey, it worked. Why change it? Uh, Argument is this world changes. People change. Like me and you are 10 years apart. How different am I from you? I would say pretty different.
Oh, right now, but I mean,
I'm saying like childhood.
right, I get it.
Like I grew up with Fortnite. Would you grow up? Pokemon?
Man, I grew up with I don't even know, man. I have to blast from the past. I gotta
Playing
think about.
Tetris. You grew up with Tetris. I grew up with
Oh
Fortnite.
my Jesus! I'm not that old.
Little Jameson playing Pong on the little.
All right. We're moving on from that.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, us as humans, we evolve. I'm getting like philosophical. I can't even speak. See in
Hey,
English. We're going into philosophy now, but people evolve, and so do play styles and stuff. Look at the 2014 Legion of Boom. That was a cover three defense, and it worked. Cover three was I could say like the meta. Now we're getting into video games. The meta in that time, and all of a sudden, Sean McVay came into these bunch sets, and it destroyed cover three.
well,
It
motion is what killed
motion,
too.
motions and bunches destroyed cover three, and now we're seeing these two high safeties on defense, and the game evolves. So you can't go based on old these old systems. You have to evolve your system and grow your team. And for Seahawks, for example, I like how we brought in the youngest coach in the NFL because you have to evolve.
No, I 100% agree. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that owners meddle in their teams when they sit back, let their guys do what they need to do and whatnot. I mean, it just bothers me. Jerry Jones being the GM and the owner, he needs to stop. He needs to pick one. Do one or the other.
100% agree. 100% agree.
Moving on from those, is there anything else you want to touch on those trade wise? I
For
guess are you
day,
surprised by anybody that didn't get traded or a team that didn't go all in to get somebody?
somebody that didn't go all in to get somebody.
Like a team that didn't go all in to get one piece that you thought they might have.
I don't have anyone in mind. A trade that did happen. Bengals. I like the pickup from Khalil Herbert. I think that adds a great deal to that running back room. Right now, it's like only Chase Brown. They lost Joe Mixon in the offseason, so they've been kind of haven't had an iffy running back field. And I'm not saying Khalil Herbert's a stud by any means, but he's a serviceable back, and so is Chase Brown. So having two types of those backs, I think, is gonna add a little bit of depth and to backfield there. So I think it's a great move there by them.
Yeah, I think that the majority of that came from Zach Moss going down for the season. He got hurt. They kind of needed a second guy, right? They don't have a lot of depth at that position. So getting him, Khalil Herbert's a Zach Moss type running back. So they probably try to keep the 1-2 punch kind of similar in playing styles. So I
Mhm.
think he kind of fits that mold that they were looking for. So I think it was definitely a cheap option. They only gave up a seventh round pick for him. So that's pennies on the dollar for somebody that you can hopefully plug and play. I mean, Chase Brown's going to be the feature back in that offense going
Yeah,
forward,
and
as he should be.
it's nowhere near a long-term fix.
No,
Khalil Herbert, I don't see him being a starter or even having an impact on that offense in coming years. Honestly, I don't see Chase Brown being much in that offense in coming years either. I think they're gonna have to find a new star running back, or at least a startable caliber running back in that offense. Chase Brown actually has looked pretty good this year, if I'm being honest. He has impressed me. But
right. No, the
I
Bengals will be drafting a running back this year. I
I
almost
believe they
guarantee,
should.
or they sign one in free agency, but I haven't even looked at the agent list.
Are we looking at a potential landing spot for Ashton Genty?
I think he's going to the Cowboys.
That could be another landing spot.
I could see Jerry Jones wanting to get back to the Zeke Elliott prime years, and I think Gentry is that kind of guy. He could be the bell cow running back.
I really like this running back class. I know you don't watch much college football, but you got
Who's the dude
Ashton
from
Genty,
Iowa?
Iowa. Oh, Johnson. He's a dog. He's a dog.
I
I don't know his first name, but
I just watched him this week, and I was like, this dude is good.
you got Genty, you got Johnson, you have Ollie Gordon, who actually hasn't been playing pretty really good this year, but he was really, really good last year. He was the, excuse me, he was the Oklahoma State uh running back. Ollie Gordon, he's a dog. Quinshon Judkins, Ohio State. You got Travion Henderson, Ohio State. Um, Singleton, I think he's Penn State. I don't know why I'm asking you. I think Singleton is Penn State. But I love this running back class. I think it's a really deep. If you're a team that needs a running back, I think this is your draft class. This year's a year you should go get one.
Yeah, so that bouncing off the Herbert, he's kind of a short-term fix, right? He's just trying to help him get through this year. And then I think the Bengals will at least draft a guy this year, whether it's one of the top guys or it's a guy that they find it to be sneaky good, um, something like that. So basically tying into fantasy value wise, Chase Brown is kind of a 1 year. Like the rest of this year, he's going to be a high value for running back, right? He's going to be kind of their
For
feature
sure.
back forward. Herbert will come in on some splitting carries, maybe some goal line carries, a little bit bigger of a back. Dynasty wise, selling Chase Brown now might be best case scenario. He might never have as much value as he has either right now or you wait a couple weeks for him to put up some big numbers. So just maybe some advice there, something to think about. Obviously, if you need him for this year or you think otherwise, maybe you think I'm wrong and you want to keep him, by all means, do what you got to do. But just a little insight for what I think is going to be coming in the future. So
I just want to say I did kind of see this Chase Brown thing happening. I thought he was gonna be the starting running back for this entire year. I didn't think they were gonna trade for another running back. I did trade him a few weeks ago. So happy I traded him now, especially with that Khalil Herbert trade. Got a lot of value out of him, so super happy with that. If I were a Chase Brown owner still, I would be selling him as much as I could, try and get whatever I could get for him, especially since he was most likely a free agent pickup or a waiver pickup.
right,
If you're in a dynasty, go get a second. In my opinion, that's a free second for you. You waiver wire to a second, it's profit.
buy low, sell high. That's
Yep.
all you got to
Perfect.
do.
Perfect.
Um, Bouncing into the bye weeks for this week. Kind of touched on some fantasy stuff there. Some big fantasy implications that are going to be coming up here in the next couple weeks are week 12 and week 14 for bye weeks. I don't know if you know this, but there are 6 teams on bye, both week 12 and 14.
Oh, I know.
And for some leagues, week 14 is early playoffs if you have an early start to playoffs.
Mm,
Otherwise, it's your week before playoffs. So if you're one game out of playoff contention or you need to win week 14 to make the playoffs, be aware that there are 6 teams on bye that may end up screwing you over. So if you got a trade deadline coming up in fantasy, kind of looking ahead to that week 14, seeing if you have multiple people that are stacked bye week wise that are going to mess you up, maybe trading some of them away and see if you can kind of readjust your roster to make that final push for the end of the season. Definitely something to keep in mind. I'll go through bye weeks week by week. That way we can kind of touch on that though, that 12 and 14 dates I was talking about. We got week 10 this coming week. We got the Browns, the Packers, the Raiders, and the Seahawks on bye. Week 11, we have the Cardinals, Panthers, Giants, Buccaneers. And you got the 2 big weeks. You got week 12, which is the Falcons, the Bills, the Bengals, the Jaguars, the Saints, and the Jets. So that's a pretty loaded week of bye weeks. The Falcons, the Bills, and the Bengals. I feel like there's a decent amount of high value players going on there. And then week 14, you got the Ravens, the Broncos, the Texans, the Colts, the Patriots, and the Commanders. Um,
jeepers.
those are some big playoff implications. You got Lamar or somebody on the Ravens. Derrick Henry, number
Daniels.
number one running back in fantasy right now on the Ravens. You got the Commanders. You got Terry McLaurin. You got Jaden Daniels. Texans, Joe Mixon,
Stroud.
DJ Stroud. He's been kind of bad as of recently, but I have a feeling he'll bounce back. So
Tank Dell, based on what he did last week, Tank Dell's going to be jumping up
Tank
these
Dell.
boards.
Yeah, another player that's doing really well. They should be
Hey,
getting Nico Collins back here shortly, shouldn't they not?
I think it's 2 weeks.
Still 2 weeks out.
I think so. Don't you might want to fact check me on that, but I think it's 2 weeks.
I gotcha.
But right now, if you're a team that's not wait, dynasty wise here, sorry. If you're a
Yep.
team that's not competing this year, I would trade Tank Dell right now.
Or just any player who's either getting older or on the last year of their deal. I think it's a really good idea to start trading now and kind of not really tanking, but inadvertently tanking. You're just selling off some high value pieces that are helping you win now, which would in turn make you lose games, but you're not trying to lose games, if that makes sense. for instance, you got players like Derrick Henry. If you had Derrick Henry on your team's still not pulling through, ship Derrick Henry off to a team that's in a win now situation. You could probably get a lot of value for him on a player that
Hmm.
only has a couple years left in him, anyways. Your older people, you have your Terry McLaurin is a really good sell high candidate for a team that's in a win now situation. So I mean, players of that nature. DeAndre Hopkins just had a breakout game. Another player should probably try and sell high, stuff like that. So just some advice for either newer dynasty people or just people who haven't been thinking about it to this point. I know it's still relatively early in the season, but some teams I'm sure the season's getting away from them. So
I think right now is where you say, hey, it's not the beginning of the season anymore. Like we're starting to get to the end of the season, and I think that's where some fantasy owners struggle. Hey, they're looking at their team and they're like, hey, my team, I have a losing record, but I'm only like what is the record? Like 4-5. I don't know if that's the record you would have right now. Is it 4-5?
that'd be accurate. We just had week 9 ended.
Yeah. So let's say you're 4-5 and you're looking at it and you're like, hey, I'm like fourth in my division. Whatever your league standings, like I'm going off our league where we have a 12-man team or 12-man league and three from each division go to the playoffs, right? Let's say, hey, I'm 4-5 and I'm fourth in my division. I'm looking at it, I'm like, hey, I gotta start winning games now, right? If you can't really, you can afford maybe to lose one more game, two, maybe. You
But
got to
so
start winning.
yeah, those are those borderline teams that are on the verge, right? Either you need to start winning games to make the playoffs, or you need to start losing games to get a better draft pick. So you either need
Hmm.
to buy in and start either overpaying for people, or you ship people out that have high value to kind of inadvertently tank and get a better pick for next year and kind of either retool or rebuild for the next couple of years. Maybe next year's your year, 2 years away, something like that.
So I know I don't need this, but I know people in our fantasy league need this. How do you rebuild in Dynasty League? How do you rebuild?
So I've never personally gone through a rebuild just because I try and stay.
Because
I,
he's
I try
so good.
I try and keep a balance between um winning now and kind of planning for the future. I try to never throw all my chips into the basket of I'm going to win this year and kind of mess yourself up with the future. Same like basically what the Rams did a couple years back when they
Hmm.
traded for Matthew Stafford. I try to avoid that at all costs. I never want to sacrifice my future for 1 year. I don't see the point in that. So if I'm going rebuild mode, similar to there's one team in our league that has one win. I'm
Oh,
trading over. Please help. Please help is the team name.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So what I would recommend doing is shipping out basically anybody over the age of 30 for anything you can get at. Pennies on the dollar doesn't matter. Get something in return for them because a team that has one win, they're not going to be around long enough to see that team turn around, or they're going to lose value too quickly that it's not going to matter. So get anybody over the age of 30 off your team. I mean, quarterback might be the exception depending on who they are. But as a general rule, 30 is kind of the age where people start going downhill, running back, receiver, tight end wise. Ship them out, get whatever you can, then find your most valuable assets. If they are somebody of the, I know this team well, which is why I'm going to use the people on the team. Zay Flowers, for example, a young, promising wide receiver on a rookie deal. Those are your cornerstones of your roster, right? You don't want to trade them. I mean, if you can, if you're getting a boatload in return to help you kind of rebuild, but you need some cornerstone pieces, some young, talented pieces, but everybody else ship out. Start bundling them, start getting draft picks, start buying low on people who might be hurt. People that are done for the season. Your Brandon Ayuk's, your Chris Godwin's. Um, they're going to be at all-time low value. Maybe you can go out there and trade for them, bank on them for next year, kind of rebuild your roster that way. I'm always looking for deals. So I saw Chris Olave get hurt this week. I saw Drake London get hurt this week. Start feeling out trade offers for people like that who, they're not sure what their injury status is going to be. Maybe you can get somebody to fold on one of those guys early. Otherwise, if one of those guys gets hurt or miss a couple weeks, go out there and get them. That's what I'm trying to do in the rebuild. I'm trying to find the best value I possibly can. So I'll buy on players who are hurt. I'll buy on players who are having bad games that I might take a gamble on that might have a good future, stuff like that. That's what I look for future wise.
Yeah. My number one advice to someone in a rebuild is don't be afraid of the word no. Send out deals. Just send them out. If it's a bad deal, the worst they can say is no, and then make fun of you for being terrible at fantasy. Hey, they already knew that. You're 1-7. You're 1-8. They already knew you were bad at fantasy.
Right.
What they learn? Oh, you're bad at trading? Oh, I'm 1-7. Like, what do they expect, right? So don't be scared of no. Just throw trades at them if they accept it. Wow, now you made out like a banshee. They don't accept it. Nothing wrong with them not accepting it. Second piece of advice is kind of what you did last year in another league that I'm in with you is go get the five top picks. If you get one, two, three, four, five, I promise you one of them will hit. I
Hmm.
promise you one of those will be the promising rookie. This year, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors. Luckily, Jameson had five picks and he took five people and like all of them hit. Maybe that'll happen, and now you're looking to be like the number one person in the league because you have the top five rookies and you're looking amazing for the next 5 years. Maybe only one of them hits, but that was one stud player now on your team. Like maybe you only got Malik Neighbors. I'm still happy with that. Maybe you only got Jaden Daniels. I'm still happy with that. That's another strategy you could go with. Trade the entire team, go get five picks in a row. I guarantee you one of them will hit.
Yeah, definitely that was my strategy. I wasn't a full blown rebuild. Like I kind of
Yeah.
was a retool kind of situation. I had good players, but I wanted to get younger and better. So I started bundling players that were good and just kind of, taking a risk on I want a high pet draft picks. I'm willing to give up a good value and hopefully, one of the I had the 102, 103, 104. Luckily I got Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Malik Neighbors and panned out quite well for me. So definitely a different strategy to go by. I guess I never even thought about what I did myself. So
I
the problem with trying to get those picks is you have to have value on your team already, though.
yeah.
So on a team that's all going 1-8, they probably don't have enough value to go and get a bunch of first round draft picks to make that kind of move.
What I'm saying is the team you're talking about has a specific running back that someone in the league really likes. And maybe you could go get a draft pick to then trade later on for a first round draft pick or someone. So what I'm saying is you don't got to make one trade to go get that pick. You can make multiple trades. You can go shop around in the league. Like I said, don't be afraid of the word no.
I'll let them know.
Thank you. Tell him I'm interested in the certain running back. You know who it is. It's my boy Tyrone Tracy in the
Tyrone
big
Trace.
New York. I should have picked him up. I
I'm
called it in
kicking
our
myself
preseason.
too. Don't worry about it.
We called it in the preseason overview. We said, "Hey, watch out for this Tyrone Tracy kid. Go pick him up." But we didn't follow our own advice, and look where we are now.
I just have the room. Didn't have the room on the roster. I should have made room. Hindsight, but it is what it is.
Hindsight's always 2020. It's a good
Yeah,
saying.
20. Did you see who one of the better kickers was last week?
Well,
Was I believe it was you might have to go back and watch the film, but I believe it was Jameson's pick of Blake
oh,
Groupie.
Blake Groupie. Jake Bates didn't have a bad week.
Man, it was too boomer bust for me though. What did I tell you?
He didn't boom or bust.
What did he do? I don't even know.
He had 7 points.
That's pretty average, I guess.
He had one field goal and then 3 for 3 on extra points.
That's the thing. They just don't kick enough field goals. It was also a rain game, so there's that.
Yeah. So I'm like 7 points. Usually I want my kicker to get around 8 to 10.
I
So I
like
guess
I
that's
like
out of
10 minimum. I want double digits out of my kicker. Otherwise, it's a bad week. I, I expect big things out of my kickers, man. I'm out
no,
here
but you also have
scheming.
Brandon Aubrey. You have Brandon Aubrey.
I just said Blake Groupie, and he got like what 12?
Yeah.
You just got to find the matchups, man.
And I'm just waiting for Rodrigo Blankenship to get back in the league.
Oh yeah,
That's my dog.
I don't know if he will, dude.
Give my boy a chance.
Oh, I'm trying to think of who my kicker of the week is.
Ooh, I haven't looked at that either.
Falcons might go off this week on the Saints.
Mm, It's a good, it's a good take.
A division game in a dome. I guess either game would be in a dome, so that doesn't necessarily matter. Saints just lost Marshawn Lattimore. They just fired their head coach. Falcons might eat this week.
Might eat.
Might eat. Game of the week, Steelers Commanders.
It's a good game. It's a really good game.
There's gonna be a lot of field goals in that game.
What about Blake Groupie again?
I don't hate it. I was looking at it. I'm taking something in the Steelers Commanders game. I think both of those offenses are going to get good enough to get down to the red zone, and they both have bend but don't break off or defenses.
Mm,
I could see there being like 6 field goals made in that game between the both teams.
that's yeah.
So
Yeah.
Chris Boswell and heck, I don't even know. Is that Siebert? Is that the Commanders kicker? Does that sound right?
Yeah. Austin Siebert, I believe.
He's been pretty decent for him too. I
Yeah.
like both kickers in that game, if I'm being honest. Is it like the
Uh,
kicker channel? Is that where we are now? Is that what this has become?
Instead of the Take Two podcast, it's the
The Sleeper Kicker Finder podcast?
now that's just you, dude. Stop glazing yourself. It's the
It's not glazing if I week after week I find a good kicker. I don't
get
have to tell
out, get out, get out, get out. It's the just kicker podcast.
just a kicker.
You
Pat
think if
Mac
I
would be so proud. We gotta get on Pack Bag if we show.
yes, we should I should
Get on
DM Rodrigo Blankenship and see if he wants to come on to the kicker podcast.
on to something. We'll get our
Yeah,
we'll get our best employees on there.
you got it for sure.
We got people for that. We'll get them on that.
Yeah, we do.
What do you got for this week? Advice, call outs for games you think are gonna go crazy ways.
I got a question for you instead.
I guess we can go that route too.
Anthony Richardson,
What about
what are you doing with him?
what am I doing with them? What are the Colts doing with them? What do you mean
If
by
you're the Colts GM, what are you doing with Anthony Richardson?
you let him sit for a couple of weeks, you start him again?
I don't want anything to do with him.
Well, if you don't want anything to do with him, why would you trade him at the deadline?
I'm not the GM.
So you would have traded him, is what I'm asking? Here's
Where are you going to trade him to?
I don't know, Seahawks.
As a Seahawks fan, I do not want him.
I'm not saying what you want. I'm saying what's plausible. A team with a struggling Raiders.
See, I got mixed feelings for Anthony Richardson.
That's
I love the potential Anthony Richardson brings. I love him as an athlete. What I don't love is when it's third down and your team needs you, you're
Titans.
doing this.
Titans.
He's doing this
I
when his
get
team
it.
needs him.
I get it. Giants.
All right, we get it.
Tons. I got tons of options for you.
We get it. My problem with Anthony Richardson is the tapping out, asking for a sub. Now, in the interview later, he said he was tired. There was a lot of running going on. The play before was a penalty, and after a penalty, there's a break. The play before the penalty was a run play by Jonathan Taylor. So, what running did Anthony Richardson do? First of all,
Who's that one scramble?
he ran for like 5 yards.
He's tired. He's a big boy.
I don't want anything to do with him. If you're tapping out when the team needs you, that was a crucial play. I think in that game that was a crucial play.
I'd have to. I don't know.
They needed that first down. I think Joe Flacco went and scored. If I'm pretty, I don't remember correctly. I remember that he tapped out. That was the big deal. They needed him, and he wasn't there. He tapped out for a sub. That's an issue I got.
I don't disagree with you. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I still don't like it. He's been struggling as of recently. The thing the one thing that I did talk about earlier in the season was like everybody's hyping him up so much because of his physical traits and his flashes that he showed last year and what he showed early on in the season. But when what I mean early on, I mean literally week one and that's it. Is he has the potential, but somebody's got to reel him in and kind of redirect him. He reminds me, I mean, he reminds a lot of people of like Josh Allen, right? All the physical traits, but just needs to be mentally groomed
Coached.
essentially. Yeah, you got to teach him what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Dude needs to learn how to slide for God's sakes. Can't be taking as many hits as he has been.
But I think that's his play style. Like Cam Newton. Cam Newton didn't slide. That's what made Cam Newton great. I'm not going to say great. That's what made Cam Newton Cam Newton.
I'll give you the second one. I'm gonna say great is a bit much. He was really good for a couple short seasons.
So what
Not
made
great.
Cam Newton Cam Newton.
Agreed. Looking at this schedule, I was trying to find a game in the next like couple of weeks that the Colts could like restart them, like an easy matchup, if you will, like a Giants or the
Hmm.
Jaguars. The problem is they don't play the Giants or the Jaguars until the last 2 weeks of the season. So unless you're gonna start Joe Flacco for the next 6 weeks just to start Anthony Richardson for the last 2 weeks, I don't know if you bring him back at all.
I'm thinking Patriots going into a bye.
So you bring back for the what about after the bye then? At that point,
That's where you make your decision. You're like, hey, you assess in that bye. Hey, what did we see from him against the Patriots? Did we like what we saw? Hey, go get him against the Go let him play against Denver now. If you don't like what you see, hey, Joe Flacco, let's ride this baby out.
but the problem is you can't bench him now. Start him against the Patriots just to bench him again after the bye. I feel
Why
like
not?
if you start him again, you have to roll with him again. It's just
Why?
too much change, too much mental thing. Fans are going to start getting pissed. The owner's probably going to start being like, "What are we doing?" Like I feel like you either roll with Joe Flacco for the next however many weeks you want to, and then as soon as you start Anthony Richardson again, you have to like commit to him. Otherwise, you just commit to Joe Flacco for the rest of the year and say Anthony Richardson will give you a fighting chance next year. I feel like you have to pick one of the two. You can't just like each week be like, well, Joe Flacco this week, he had a bad week, we're going to Anthony Richardson. He had a bad week, we're going back to Joe Flacco. I don't think you can do that.
I like that competition thing though. Like your job's not safe. It stops you from being complacent.
Well, it's
That's just
fine.
my
But
opinion.
the rest of the team is like, what are we doing?
I can see that.
You have no leadership.
I agree, but are the Colts competitive this year?
Well, no, which is why you should just run with Joe Flacco. Or you just run with Anthony Richardson and give him game experience, let him learn from his mistakes, and you say, whatever happens, happens. We're not going to win
I would
anything.
agree with that. I would agree with that statement. Start the younger guy. If you're not competitive this year, why wouldn't you start this younger guy?
You don't get hurt either, though. Because if you did want to trade him at the end of the year, you can't trade him if he's hurt.
I could get that, but right now Anthony Richardson's value is low. Like, what do you think you could trade him for? What do you think realistically you could trade him for?
Based because of his body type and his potential, probably a second,
But now, what if he puts together three good games and is healthy? What do you think you could trade him for?
probably a first.
So that's a difference of picks if you play him and he does well. Now, if he does bad, you could lose value. It's a risk. If he gets hurt, you could definitely lose value.
Right. Yeah,
It's a
I
hard
don't have
decision.
a great answer there.
You get yourself into a bit of a pickle here with Anthony Richardson.
Every team does at the end of the season once they're not playing well and they have questionable quarterbacks. I mean, you get the Seahawks and Geno Smith. He played absolutely terrible last week. That made me feel great as a
Gino,
fan.
Gino. I was waiting for Sam Howell to come in. I was like, let's go, Sam Howell.
I was
Let's
calling for
go.
that now. I will admit.
Let's see what Sam Howell's got.
That's what I was saying.
Give him a chance.
Give him a chance.
I
All
am
right,
glad to see us took it to OT.
what's your game of the week?
I'm not looking at the games yet. Let me take a look. What's yours of the week?
I like Steelers Commanders.
You already said that.
Yep,
Yeah, forget
I'm
about
sticking
that.
with it.
Steelers, Commanders, Bengals, Ravens, divisional matchup. I like that.
That could be another good one. The other one I was thinking is Giants Panthers.
What are we talking about? Lions, Texans?
No, I don't think it'll be close.
Really? You
I
got the
think
Lions?
I think Lions blow them out. I don't know what the line's set at, but I'd probably take Lions -10. I'd probably take them up to double digits. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be close.
I'll look up the line right now.
If it's anything less than 10, I would take Lions without a doubt.
This is where you pull the if I were a betting man, which I am.
If I was a betting man, which I happen to be.
3-point favorites.
Oh, give me the Lions 3 easy money.
I know what Jameson's parlay is going to be looking like.
Write this down right now. Lions are winning by more than 3 easily.
So you're taking the Lions.
Easily, I'll take the Lions at -3.
Hmm.
That's write it down. We'll next week Tuesday. Come back at me. Let me know if I'm right or wrong, but I know I'll be right.
You're gonna get a guy in the comments. I just lost my whole savings account because
Okay, no. You got to gamble responsibly. You gotta do what you got to do. I'm just saying personally, I would take that bet 100%, but I
personally
can't.
you would or personally you are taking that bet. Like, are
Well,
we
I
putting
can't.
our money where our mouth is?
I guess I could go to the casino and put a money on it, but I can't use like DraftKings or whatnot because we're in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
will not
Dom.
be placing the bet, but I would if I didn't have to drive somewhere to place the bet because that's just annoying. That's too much work for me. I'm too lazy to do that.
Nah, I get that. I get that. I think I think with that brings this podcast to the end. So thank you guys for watching. As always, forget to subscribe. Yell at Jameson for losing you some money. If you lose,
Not
please
happening.
leave it in the comments. Give him some crap about it. Hey, you just lost me my house. I just threw my entire house on
I don't recommend
Lions.
throwing a house on a football game bet.
I
I do
just I just threw my I just threw my Lamborghini on the Lions and I lost it because of you.
If you can afford to lose a Lamborghini, I guess you can put that on. Only bet what are willing or can afford to lose. Remember that, everybody.
Hey,
Little,
this is real life
little
advice.
betting
Hey,
advice.
hey, you can only lose 100% of your money, but you can gain a million times your money.
Yeah, you are a terrible betting counselor. Let me tell you, you are a terrible influence on bettors.
Hey, you might win, you might lose today, but you could win tomorrow.
Yeah, we can wrap this one up.
All right. With that, I think we're gonna end this podcast. Gamble safely. Don't listen to what Reed says. Um,
End of that.
After that, have a good night, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace out, everybody.